Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor Live on SIFTD.net. We very much appreciate all of you who have become Patreon patrons or YouTube subscribers. You guys are getting this pretty much live. It's end of the week. We're talking about real business. If you're not a subscriber, you're probably getting it later, but there's one other way to get it for real-time free, and that's to connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. That's free for you because you've already paid Amazon, and Amazon is willing to pay Shane for the privilege of allowing you to watch Pachter Factor live in real time. So go ahead and please try to remember to reconnect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. There are instructions in the show description below. Let's move on to today's topic. We're talking about WB Games and the disruption there. WB just announced that they were going to shut down 3 studios. Monolith, which is the guys who made Shadows of Mordor and Shadows of War. But Shadows of Mordor, big, huge success, albeit 10 years ago. But a big studio who was working on Wonder Woman. They also canceled the Wonder Woman game. They shut down Player First that made multiversus. And they shut down WB San Diego, and I honestly don't know what that studio did, nor do I know how big it is. But the point is that these are 3 relatively large pieces of the Warner Brothers mix. I mean, they continue to have NetherRealm, who makes Mortal Kombat, and Rocksteady, who makes the Batman games, and TT Games, which used to be called Traveler's Tales, that has made the different Lego Star Wars kind of games. So they still have pretty decent studios. I mean, NetherRealm is phenomenal, and Rocksteady is phenomenal. Those guys have all been up for Game of the Year in the past. But it's kind of cut their footprint by, I would say, probably a third and maybe more. The other big news, which is not topical, it happened a month ago, is Dave Haddad, who is among my favorite people in the games industry, announced he was leaving WB Games back in January, end of January. I think he's going to leave in a few months, but I think he may have already been gone. Now, what that really means is that there's a guy in charge named J.B. Perrette. You can look him up. He's kind of a career media guy. I'm sure he's very bright and capable. I've met him. He's very nice. I would say I've probably forgotten more about games in the last week than he knows right now. So, and I am getting old and I'm suffering dementia, so maybe I've forgotten a lot. He doesn't know how to run the business. You used to have Kevin Tsujihara in charge of Warner Brothers Entertainment, and Kevin, for all of the things that happened in his career, is a great games guy, really understands the business. Warner Brothers with Haddad, with Kevin above him, really understood the business, and I used to point them out as the exemplar, the leading example of a media company doing games right. And the reason I bring that up is everybody else has tried and everybody else has failed. NBC Universal has been noodling around for years and has done a really bad job. Disney has tried multiple times and done a really bad job. We all know Sony does a good job, but that's because Sony, was in the games business before the movie business. So they're good. But honestly, none of the other guys, Viacom, Paramount, has never been able to figure it out. Sumner Redstone back in the day bought Midway and rode it to bankruptcy. It's been just terrible watching media guys try to make games. And the bright spot was Warner Brothers. And what I thought that they were particularly good at was making opportunistic acquisitions. So they bought Mortal Kombat out of bankruptcy from Midway. So Midway shut down, and Mortal Kombat just kind of magically got sold to Warner Brothers. They bought the guys who made Harry Potter. That was Avalanche. Avalanche was a Disney studio that worked on Disney Infinity, and Disney shut them down. And Haddad called them the next day and said, "Want to work for Warner Brothers? I'm hiring you all at your current deal." So, they've turned bad situations into phenomenal situations. And so here's Haddad, he has a string of bad luck, and next thing you know, he's out of a job, and they're shutting down studios. Rocksteady worked on Suicide Squad for the better part of 7 or 8 years, and that game bombed. So, is that because Dave Haddad sucks as an executive? Is it because Rocksteady, Monolith, Player First, WB San Diego all suck? Or is it because Warner Brothers is making decisions about their intellectual property that are misplaced? And, I'd say that the Shadows of War game didn't improve upon Shadows of Mordor, so I kind of get that. But I don't think you shut a studio down because they make one misstep. Rocksteady, I would worry about Rocksteady if I were working there. They had phenomenal successes with big Batman games they made, and then they got diverted to work on Suicide Squad. And to be honest, it's IP. There's been two Suicide Squad movies, and they're both bad. One less bad than the other, but both just terrible. The public has shown that they don't like the IP, and yet let's make a game from it. That is really dumb. And again, I used to be a comic book collector, and I used to be a DC Comics collector. My knowledge of comics is like 30 or 40 years old, but honestly, I don't think Suicide Squad is a hugely popular comic. Batman is and Superman is. Wonder Woman, really not. So I think Warner is making bad decisions about which IP to exploit. And I think that Suicide Squad is dumb. Justice League better. But taking your, arguably Rocksteady and NetherRealm are the two best studios, and TT is a close third. Putting your best studio on IP and watching it flop, that's not the studio's fault. That's the IP's fault. And, I'm not going to say that they didn't do this, but you focus group test this stuff. And if gamers say, I don't know what Suicide Squad is and I don't care, then why are you investing 8 years of Rocksteady's time to make a game based on that? How dumb is that? And same thing, does Wonder Woman test out as a game everybody wants to play? I don't think so. So again, Harry Potter works, and so Avalanche came out of nowhere and worked on good IP. Mortal Kombat works, and I think that you can integrate DC characters into the Mortal Kombat universe and do fighting games, and they've obviously done that at NetherRealm. But you take Lego and you can make Batman. That's fun, and that works. I think Warner Brothers is trying to be just like Marvel, and have DC be just like the Marvel universe, and the Marvel universe is more popular. And Marvel is better at making this stuff fun and funny than Warner has been. So honestly, I think that the Warner Brothers executives are scapegoating Haddad and the studios for their bad decisions to chase IP that doesn't work. Now we'll see. Obviously, maybe I'm wrong. I very famously was negative on Marvel back in 2008 when Iron Man was either just out or just about to come out. And I was making fun of the casting with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man because he had just gotten out of drug rehab. And Jon Favreau as the director because he had just made a movie called Zathura. And so I very famously predicted that Iron Man would bomb. And, I was off by $1 billion. So clearly the formula was right. So maybe DC has some potential with its IP to be good movies and good games. And maybe they just haven't gotten the formula right. And maybe that's Dave Haddad's fault. I would say probably not, but they always fire the low man on the totem pole and ask questions later. And firing Haddad buys him 3 to 5 more years. So I am sad that those studios got shut down. They were not shut down because the games industry is in trouble. They were shut down because Warner Brothers does not know how to monetize IP and pick the wrong projects for those studios to work on. And the sad thing is, I think that most real studios get to work on their own stuff. And so they get to be creative. And, here you've got guys working on licensed stuff and they're just not sure what to do with it. So they make the best of a bad situation. But losing their jobs just made no sense to me at all. The more interesting thing to me was Player First got bought back in June or July of 24. So Warner Brothers just bought them. Now they shut them down. I'm amazed they didn't try to sell them. As I said, Haddad had in the past swooped in and bought NetherRealm for not very much money, and TT Games out of the Midway bankruptcy as well, and then had swooped in and got Avalanche for just hiring an acqui-hire. They didn't even pay for it. So I'm really surprised that the Warner Brothers guys didn't try to see if somebody wanted to buy Monolith or Player First, and it would not surprise me if Warner Brothers going forward tries to sell off its game division and just says, we're not good at this, we don't know what we're doing. Who would buy that? Amazon. So Amazon could absolutely do that. Remember that Amazon has a long-term license for the Lord of the Rings franchise to make television shows, so they've already invested hundreds of millions of dollars. Why not make Lord of the Rings games? And I think they could do the same thing with Harry Potter and DC. I hate to predict the demise of Warner Brothers Interactive. I think Mortal Kombat will continue to be fine because Ed Boon is a stud, and I think he'll keep it going. Rocksteady is going to keep making great games, and TT is going to keep making great games. But we can forget these guys' internal ability to exploit things like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. They have a lot of the whole DC universe. I think that they're going to be really challenged to do that without Haddad in charge and without these studios. So I think it's a bad move. Thank you for joining us on Pachter Factor Live. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon here. We hope that you are a Patreon patron. If you are, thank you. We hope you can hook up with YouTube and subscribe to Pachter Factor or SIFTD. They're available. You get in this real time if you're doing that. Whether you're a subscriber or not, would you please try to remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. It is free. Amazon's paying. You get a chance to stick it to Amazon. It costs you nothing. So just look at the instructions on how to do that in the show description below. It's 1 or 2 clicks, very easy, but you have to redo it every month or so. So would you please, if you haven't done it in a month, go down in there and hook them up, link them up, and Shane will get paid. I will see you guys next week on Pachter Factor Live and next time on my regular Pachter Factor show. Thanks again for joining us, fellow babies.